Hello photography fans, welcome to another episode about classic cameras and classic photo gear. In today's episode we're going to be discussing another cool classic camera. I happened to stumble upon a really neat little guy called Zeiss box Tengor. Here it is. Yeah, you didn't expect it. It's a very small camera. In my search on the great auction site, I saw this guy, and of course in the picture it looks, large. So I go, nah, $450 plus, I don't know, like $5 shipping. It couldn't hurt it. So I put a bid. I was the only bidder. And a few weeks later, I get this in the mail. Very neat camera. Produced between 1928, 1935, various models. This is called a baby box Tengor, since it's it's a baby compared to the standard models. And this one uses 127 film. It doesn't take square exposures, it takes odd exposures, 30 by 40 millimeter. So let's get some details on this cool little camera. Alright, so if you have about 80 cameras in your collection, your possession, and you've used them all, and you've taken pictures with pretty much all of them, you get to the point where you think you know it all. You know how to operate all these cameras. Well, in this particular case, it wasn't so. When I got this camera in the mail, I'm thinking, yeah, it's one of those, Kodak-like baby box cameras. There's nothing you can really learn about this. And sure enough, there is. So what I tried to do, basic options, I opened the camera. So basically, in order to open it, there's a little tab here on the side. Okay, so you pull this out, and then that releases the back. You can slide it open, like this. Then I looked inside, I say, okay, everything is nice, the spool is here, 127 spool, there you go. And cranking, it says Zeiss film A8, which translates to 127 rather. So I go, okay, so I checked this, then I checked the trigger. So what I do is this little trigger knob there, or knurled flat, you just pull it down and oh snap, it doesn't work. I'm thinking, oh man, $450 and I got a lemon. Ah, that's a shame. But I fixed box cameras before. I opened up the whole front and I was able to fix them, so I did the same thing. There's a screw here and a screw here and the whole front comes off. And I released it and I looked inside and there's nothing damaged. The spring is intact, everything is there. I mean, I'm thinking, what could be wrong? Then I thought to myself, I might have to do some more research on it. And so I did. I went online and I started searching, and I learned that these sneaky Germans put in an interlock mechanism, so you can't accidentally take a picture with this camera. Germans. Anyways, let's talk about it. So we put it back together. Just slides in, align the pin and the latch, and there you have it. Alright, so you can take the picture like this. So what do you do? Maybe you pull this out. Nope, still can't do it. So then I learned that there's a sight one in the back, and one in the front. Basically a composition sight. You pull it out. Alright? Kind of like an old machine gun on a World War II aircraft. And once you do that, magic happens. The mechanism gets released. If you open the front of the camera, you see that this whole wireframe here, when it's in its detracted or in position, it presses against a little latch that blocks the spring mechanism from firing. So it needs to be pulled out. And that is some sort of way to prevent accidental pictures, which is really cool for a simple box camera from 1930s. Kodak didn't have that, as far as I can tell. Kodak could be triggered anytime. So it has two speeds. It has instantaneous speed, and it has a bulb mode. So you pull it out, you pull this tab out here, and then you trigger it. There you have it. You pull it, push it back in, that releases a different part of the mechanism. And the speed is about 1/30th, between 1/30th and 1/50th. That was the standard for these cameras. So that's what I'm going to use for my shooting. Also, another neat feature on this camera is that it has a tripod mount, actually two of them, 1/4-20 tripod mounts. You can mount it to a tripod so you don't shake the camera while you take the picture. On top of that, and let me zoom in for this, it has a shutter release mount. How cool is this? You know, it doesn't get any cooler. So let's flip it over and see the back of the camera. So here you have it. You see two windows, two red windows. You go, why the hell would you have two red windows? Well, it uses 127 film. So in order to take 30 by 40 millimeter exposures, you first wind to the till number one is over here, and then you wind it again until number one is over here. That correlates to about the distance of the film gate. So this is it. I mean, there's not much you can talk about this camera besides that it's really cool, that it has an interlocked feature that most cameras of that time didn't have, especially simple cameras like this. And it only has two speeds. It has bulb and instantaneous, and it has only one aperture of roughly about f/16. Okay, so back then, standard film speed 125 ISO. I mean 25 ISO. So you're looking at Sunny 16, and it will work fine. 25th of a second, 1/30th of a second, and ISO 25 film. So in order to put it back together, you just simply push down on the frame that locks the mechanism, and you flip close the little sight. What else is interesting about German cameras that I've noticed? I have an Agfa camera and I have this guy when it comes to box cameras. And I noticed one thing. Agfa camera also has a filter, yellow filter, built in to its aperture plate that you pull out. Also, in front of the lens, actually in front of the aperture itself, there's a little mirror-like plate. And what I'm thinking is that this prevented stray light leaking through the lens and into the camera and accidentally exposing your film or fogging your film. So Germans put that on. I didn't see that in Kodak cameras. Maybe some of them did, maybe some better models or more advanced models of box cameras. But German camera had that. Agfa and Zeiss apparently has that as well. That's it. So that's the story of this camera. I got it for $450 plus about 5 shipping. I'm extremely happy with it. I'm gonna load it with a roll of 127, which is available back in the market, and you can, although it's quite expensive and it's probably cheaper to cut your 120 film and get 127. You know, if you're just gonna shoot a roll or two just for fun, it's all right. So that's it, folks. I mean, this is a little Zeiss baby box Tengor camera from between 1928 and 1935. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a short but hopefully interesting overview of this little Zeiss camera. It fits in the palm of your hand. Awesome. There'll be more camera overviews in the future. Although I'll probably be taking a break for about a month. I'm going on a trip for about a week, a motorcycle trip down to the Shawnee National Forest, just to ride some forest roads with a friend of mine, sleep in the dirt, you know, get covered in mud, things like that. Hence this t-shirt here. If you look at it, people always comment on it. Good, better, best. So, photography fans, till next time, make sure you keep shooting that film. Keep the film alive.